The last time we saw lovers Glockman and Lyle, they were on opposite sides of the road. With Glockman finding out that the woman he's fallen for is responsible for the death of a close friend, he knows he has to do what's right and put her down. However, it's much easier said than done. Making the man once deemed himself a gangsta, tried and true, question his own character. Should he be loyal to the people he loves and the ones that depend on him to be trustworthy? Or should he have the back of a woman he only just met but has fallen hard for? The other sisters and their men return, with the former having to face the repercussions of the secrets that they've held and reckless actions they've taken. Will these three boss chicks remain in boss mode, or will they fold and crumble under the pressures of love loss, betrayal, and murder? Hello, my beautiful people, and welcome back to the Bibliophile's Bookcase. I am your host, Erica the Bibliophile. So, we are here for part two of Boss Chicks by Shvonne Latrice. So, where book one left off, where Glockman is showing Lyle the video of her robbing and shooting one of his best friends, Poe. And she tries to explain herself, but he shoots like it was either three or four shots into the wall, and it's like, I don't want to hear nothing you have. I don't want to hear none of that shit. Just get the fuck out. So, she runs out crying, upset, and realizing that her actions from 4 years ago is the reason why they'll never be together. So we get a flashback of, once her and her friend Missy was in the store. And so she sees a guy and like his voice sounds familiar. And she's like, I know him. That's the guy that robbed me. And he sees her and like talks to her and like, damn, baby, you look good. Like, he real cocky with it. And so she walks out the store, don't say nothing to him. But like a day later, she got on all black, she got a mask on, and she find out where that nigga at, and she tries to rob him back. Like, he robbed me. I just want my shit back. So she walks up on him like, man, give me the money. But Poe wasn't going for, well, at the time, she didn't know his name. She didn't know who he was. But, the guy, he's like, man, if you don't get the fuck out my face with this bullshit that you doing. And, she's like, no, I'm getting the money. So a guy comes out and calls out his name, Poe. And so she turns and shoots him, and like he shoots him in the arm, and she's panicking because she thought like, oh, I was just gonna run up on him, flash my gun, and he would give me the money. But no, Poe's like, you're gonna have to take it from me. And he like hits her with his car door. And so because she doesn't know if he's reaching in the car for a gun of his own or if he's just gonna try to beat her up, she starts shooting. And so she hits him, like three times? Or two or three times. And then she had already shot the one friend, but after he got shot, he ran away. Like he didn't come back. So she takes some money out his pocket, and she's about to run off, but then she sees like a duffel bag in the back seat, and she grabs that and she leaves. And she had called Rashawn, which I'm sorry, I want to involve Rashawn in nothing, but lo and behold, it had drugs in there and it had money. So he used the money counter, and kind of find out it was almost 150K in the duffel bag. She's like, I don't want them drugs. I have no use for that, but this money is mine though. So and that started up, what is it? The money for the strip club, or part of the money for the strip club, and the rest is history until today. And so throughout, I'm gonna go couple by couple. So let's start with Lyle and Glockman. So for the majority of the book, like they're still doing business together. So he'll still come by, do the money count at her club, and let that be that. But he's not talking to her in no other capacity. He's like, man, you really should be dead. Like, you killed my homie. I know it's you that killed my homie. You should really be dead. Because, he promised Fane, who is another one of his friends, he's the one that got shot in the arm. So he's like, when it happened, I think he was in jail. So he's like, when I find out whoever it is, it's curtains for them. And so he's like, there's no way I could be with you and then go look at these people in his face. I mean, in their face. Because Poe had a wife, had children, had twins. Um, so, they all just waiting for the day that they can get revenge on the person that took Poe away from them. But, they don't call feelings for each other. So it's awkward. But, she goes to his cigar shop trying to see him. Just, I think, at one point, he was at the club and she saw him. And it's just like, she had to go to her office. And because my girl, like, she's known to not show emotion, she had to wait till she got by herself and drop a few tears. But as soon as she start crying, here this nigga go in her office. And it's just like, damn, I just need a moment to myself. But he's like, I hate that you put us in this situation, but there's just no way that we can be. But as it goes on, one of the strippers in the club, um, her real name is Miracle, but she went by Desire. One night, her car is all jacked up, so Glockman helps her out and gives her a ride. So they start messing around. So, oh yeah, that was like when she started crying because her and Desire had a talk because Glockman was at the club and she saw Desire go up to him and like they was having a little conversation. So she pulled Desire to the side like, what the fuck was y'all talking about? Like, what is that? What's going on? And she's like, y'all not together, right? Like, I ain't trying to step on your toes. And she, of course, trying to play it off like, nah, I don't care about him, but keep her professional and all that type of shit. Like, low key hating. Um, So, but throughout the book, the more he's messing around with Miracle, she's being clingy, claiming him as her man. And it's like, girl, y'all not even on that type of time. Y'all meet up to have sex, maybe have a little bit of conversation, and that man is right back out the door. So you shouldn't be calling him your man. And then it got bad to the point, though, where she was bragging on him, and Lyle walks into the locker room and they kind of have an exchange for words because she tried to get cute and was like, Glockman said, y'all not together no more. And, don't be a hater because you lost him. And Law put her in her place and was like, girl, I can fuck that man anytime I want. I actually just fucked him not too long ago, which she did because when she went to his cigar shop trying to see him, he was actually with another chick that he used to mess around with from time to time. And she got into it with that girl, but Glockman pulled her back into his office and they had sex then. Even though basically it's like he can't stay away from her because as soon as they have sex or they kiss or anything like that, he has to pull himself back and was like, fuck, this is the girl that killed my homie, so I cannot do this with her. So Glockman, like when the conversation gets back to him, well, the first conversation was Miracle asking him, like, are me and Lyle on the same, like, do you see us the same? And he's like, no. And she's like, what about this about Lyle? And I was cracking up because my man said, why the fuck am I on 2020? Like, why am I being interviewed? What is this? And that's when she says, do you see me and Lyle as the same? And he's like, no. She's somebody I have feelings for. Basically, like, she's up here and you're down here because I actually have feelings for her. Does she seem like the type of woman that would let me do da 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 da? And, that hurts her feelings, but it's just like, y'all not on the same. He sees y'all differently, and you just gotta take that for what it is. So after that, she tries to act like, oh, I'm gonna play it cool. I ain't gonna do nothing. He gonna see me as the cool chick that he wanna be with, and it's like, baby, no. He has feelings for somebody else, and that's not you. You're really just a placeholder. I mean, of course, she doesn't know these things, but it's just like, at some point, when do y'all let a nigga talking to y'all crazy, like, not be, what am I trying to say? That should let y'all know that this ain't going nowhere. Because the way he talked to her is why. Ooh, speaking of talk, okay, we're gonna get there. We're not to that couple yet, but ooh, I got feelings. Um, and so after some time, even with him still dealing with Miracle, oh, that's what it was. After Miracle and Lyle got into it in the locker room a little bit, she meets up with her friend who is basically, she's like sitting with another group of friends and she's running down the story like they exaggerating, like, yeah, I had to get her together, and she messing with Glockman. Of course, Glockman is like a ghost. They like, I ain't never seen a nigga, thought he was like a fairy tale or some shit like that, a urban legend. And here she go running her mouth like, no, that's my man. And then she was like, well, he not really my man, but we in that talking stage, but he off limits to everybody else. So it's one girl that's sitting there like, I fuck with his homeboy, and I ain't never really heard of you like that. And so throughout the whole time they eating, the girl keep looking at her. And so later on in the night when she at home, there's a knock on her door. And she sees that it's Glockman and she excited, but as soon as she opened the door, he like, what the fuck you running your mouth for? And she like, what you mean? He's like, why is you out here telling people that we go together or that I'm your man when you know that's not the fucking case? And even if it is, it's like, why are you talking? What I do and who I do it with don't need to be blasted all over the place. Like, learn to shut your fucking mouth. And so he leaves and it's like, man, I can't even do this with you. So then once again, they're at her place and she done fix him something to drink and he trying so hard. But he take like one sip of the drink. He's like, man, what the fuck am I doing here? I need to go get my girl. And so he stands up and was like, man, I'm out. And she's like, wait, where you going? What did I say? Um, and he turned off by that. It's like, y'all literally just sitting there chilling. You ain't said nothing too much really, but when he get up, it's just like you're like a little puppy. Wait, what did I do? I promise not to do it again, please. What did I say? Like, man, I'm going to get my bitch back. And she like, what? Who? Like, girl, don't act like you don't know who that is. So he like loud and he leave. So he show up to her door, and they have been doing like the back and forth thing throughout the whole book. So at this point, when he does show up to her place, she telling her doorman like, I don't care who down there, I don't want to talk to him. Da, 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 da. And the doorman's like, but he threatened me and he really would like to talk to you. So like basically, girl, come get this nigga. And she sends him up and they make up. He's like, I know what I should be doing and how this should go, but basically I can't. I got feelings for you. I want to be with you. And it's basically us against the world. And, of course she's happy. Like, yes, I got my man back. My man, my man, my man. And things are going good for a while until like Miracle, she was scheduled to work at the club. She didn't show up. So Lyle calls her like, you're supposed to work tonight, right? Like, are you feeling sick or what? And Miracle flat out says, no, I just didn't want to show up. And she's like, what? She's like, girl, if you don't get your ass here. And so she says, you want me to work? Give me my man back. It's like, girl, he not yours. He was never your man. And how you got a problem? Well, Lyle was being petty in the book too. So it's just like, it's tit for tat. But it's like, girl, I'm not giving shit back. So then Miracle quits and goes to work at Sirens. Now, if you remember in the first book, Siren, like that's her name, Siren, and then the name of her club is Siren. And she's Toddy's girlfriend who is in a fake competition with Lyle. So she goes to work for the competition basically. But Lyle calls Siren and tells her, I'll write you a check right now if you fire her. I don't even want her back at the club, but I also don't want her there making money either. So I'll write you a check. Well, no, I'll bring you cash. Just name your price and fire her. So Siren agrees. So she's out of a job and out of a man. But then Miracle approaches Lyle and is like, I have chlamydia. And she's like, girl, fuck you telling me for? Like, what they got to do with me? And she was like, the last person that I had sex with was Glockman. And she's like, girl, I'm fine. So that ain't got shit to do with me. And I don't know why you walking up on me telling me. And so Miracle, she is in school to become a nurse. So she's like, well, I'm almost a nurse. So I just thought I'd let you know. But like, I don't want to hear that shit. But she tries to get an appointment with her own doctor, but like her doctor's not in the office, and whoever's there to replace her is like booked up for the rest of the week. So she goes to a close by clinic and takes the test, and the results come back positive. So she is blowing Glockman up, but Glockman, he's in an area where he ain't supposed to be, got his phone wrapped up so it don't, like ping off the towers or whatever. And when he finally calls her back, he's pulling up to Kelby's house and sees Toddy coming out of her house, and he's like, hold on, what the fuck y'all doing together? Y'all ain't got no business being together. And so he pulls out his gun, pointing it at both of them, like, what the fuck is going on here? But at that same time, he was calling Lyle, and she on the phone, like, oh, now you decide to return my call? But he done, like, basically dropped the phone and pulled out his gun, like, no, I need to figure out what the fuck going on around here. Okay, so let's talk about Troy. So Troy was living two lives. She was trying to have her life with Lawrence, who was her boyfriend and the father of her daughter, Darling, while also being in a relationship with August. But, you know, when she was with August, she was telling him, I'm no longer with him, he's just my child's father, so we have to communicate that way. But it was one time when they were together, August and Troy, and this man called Lawrence. He called 5 times back to back. Just the phone kept ringing and kept ringing. So when she jumps up to answer, August is like, why the fuck he calling you like that? And she's like, well, he is her father. I'll talk to him about calling so much, but, basically let it go. And the one thing I hated, and it's like, just like a person who ain't shit, every time she got caught up, she would get so mad and like flip it on him. And basically it's like, why you asking me all these questions? Why you acting so insecure? Like, why you don't trust me? Just listen to what I'm telling you. And it's like, bitch, no, because I'm not stupid. But he would always let it go. He's like, I'm trying to trust you. I understand. And there was even one time, like, he hadn't seen Darlin, didn't know anything about her. But he's like, tell me about your baby girl. And she freezes up and is like, what? Why? And he's like, well, you have a daughter. You don't really talk about her. I would like to, know about her, because eventually I'm going to meet her if we together, you know what I mean? And she blows up at that. She was like, so basically you calling me a bad mother, and why are you asking me all these questions? So at one point he does drop. He's like, fuck it, whatever. And then another time she has a conversation. No, I think it's the same time. Like when he called 5 times back to back, she walks out of the room to take the phone call, and she had got her dates mixed up. She was supposed to meet Lawrence for lunch. So he's sitting at a restaurant waiting on her. And he's like, where the fuck you at? And why is it taking you so long to answer the phone? And she's like, I had to help my aunt with Darling. And he's like, why does your aunt have a baby girl when you off today? So basically, it's like, bitch, it's your off day. You need to be with your own child. And that fucked her up even more. So it's just like, she wasn't good at the shit. It's like, girl, you can't live double lives. So of course, when it blows up in her face, because Lauren shows up to the club. Now August works at the club. So August texts her like, I'm outside in the alley, come through. So she's paying more attention to her phone than she is to Lauren. So he snatched that shit out her hand. Like, who the fuck are you talking to, and who was out in the alleyway? So she don't say nothing. So the nigga just leaves, and it's like, girl, duh, he's heading to the alley. So when he gets out there and sees August, he's like, boy, what you doing texting my woman phone? And so August looks at him and was like, watch who the fuck you call him boy, and don't worry about it. And he's like, well, this is my woman, so I am gonna worry about it. So what are you doing texting her? So he really don't pay Lawrence too much attention. He looked right at Troy and was like, you know what? You ain't even got to worry about it. Trust, I won't be texting her no more. And so she lies to Lawrence, and he just had a crush on me, and hope that I would give him some attention, but it wasn't like that. So just lying to both men. But August peeped what's going on. He like, bet. You ain't even got to worry about it. But she runs back to him like, no, I'ma fix it. Basically bringing him back in. So at some point, though, August is at her house and there's a baby book out, like a scrapbook for Darling. And he picks it up and goes through it because it's like, I done asked about baby girl. I don't want to treat her as if she doesn't exist. Like, basically, like, I understand you have a daughter and I'm okay with what comes with that. But he's looking like, these eyes look familiar. I got that same birthmark on my body. And so when he brings it up to her, of course, uh, she's like, I know you want her to be your daughter because they was messing around about that same time. Um, she's like, but she's not. I've already had the paternity test done. She's not yours. Basically just drop it. But at this point, she had already told Lyle and told Bryce that uh, August is actually Darling's father. But because at that time, she's like, ain't no way I'm going to be with a dancer. Like, that's not what I want for my life. She told Lawrence, oh, right. So it's like her and Lawrence got together. But he's like, nah, I could see in other circumstances, because she was like, how babies look like celebrity babies all the time, but it's not their actual baby. And he's like, yeah, I do know that, but that's not this case. Like, we actually slept together. She has eyes like my mother, and we both had the same birthmark. Those are not the same circumstances. And she's like, well, think whatever you want, but that's not your baby. So when it all blows up in her face, she's like real upset. But come to find out, because she was like, at this point, she really wanted to be with August and she was done with Lawrence. So she tries to break up with Lawrence. But technically, she cannot, because when she found out she was pregnant, that was around the time they were feeding money into a bank account. This is all four sisters to get the club up and running. But when she goes to the bank to deposit some money, the teller, okay, I must be poor because I've never heard of why I am poor. Let me not say I must be. But the bank teller tells her when she goes to deposit more money in there that they need to spend some of it because it's, I guess, too much in there and it's just been sitting there for too long. So she goes out and spends $80,000 of the money just because the lady told her they had to spend some of it. Now, why would you not go have a conversation with your sisters like, hey, I just dropped this money off at the bank and this is what the teller said to me about it? But no, instead she goes and spends the money just on bullshit, like literally nothing. She probably don't know where none of that shit is right now. Just went and spent the money just because. But when she realized what she did, she goes to Lawrence and was like, I need to find a way to put this money back. And so he gives her the money and they draw up a contract that says he has ties into the club. So it's basically like her share of the club is his. And she's tried to buy him back, like buy him out before, but he's not going for that because it's like, this is what I have over you. So, and I'm keeping it. So when she does break up with him, it's like, I don't care. Do what you got to do. He goes to the club and tells Lyle and Bryce, like, basically, either buy me out or, basically, like, I'm in this with y'all. Like, Troy ain't got nothing to do with this. It's between us. So as soon as they find that out, Lyle and Bryce go to, is it their auntie house or Troy's house? Anyway, they knock on somebody's door, and as soon as Troy opened that door, Lyle just goes off on her because her and Bryce had like a pep talk before she opened the door. Bryce is like, now look, Lyle, we just here to talk and hear her side of the story. Lyle like, yeah. As soon as she opened that door, bop, 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 bop. And it's like, Lyle is whooping her ass. And Troy get a few licks in, she do a few maneuvers, but basically she getting her ass whooped by her big sister. And Troy, which I did not understand. Motherfucker trying to act like she don't understand what's going on. She look at Bryce talking about what's her problem. Like, girl, you just left the nigga who you know was gonna tell your tea, and that's exactly what he did. And so they both looking at her like, girl, the fuck you mean? Um, So she like, you got to figure out how to pay him back, and that's coming out of your own pocket, not my pocket. So figure out what you gonna do. And she's like, this is supposed to be between us sisters. Which, okay, let me pull over because the way I felt from the beginning, this was Lyle's dream, but because nobody else had anything else going on, they're like, sure, why not? Because they don't give a fuck about that club and basically just do whatever they want. Um, which Bryce, sweetie, I'm coming for you in just a second. So yeah, Troy is trying to figure out how. So then she decides to sit down and have a conversation with August and tell him, like, I'm done with Lawrence. I really want to be with you, and darling is really yours. So when August hears that, he don't want nothing to do with her. It's like, girl, I've seen like how old is the baby? I believe the baby's is she four? No, she's 2. Lord, she's 2. Um, I've been around you for the last 2 years. Like, I've seen you. Like, we had sex, we talked, all that shit. You never once said anything about that being my baby, and the fact that you think that you could just spring this on me now and think I'm just gonna say okay, cool, and we can be in a relationship. Like, girl, you got me fucked up. The answer is no. So her life is in shambles at this point, and she got to figure out what she gonna do. Now on to Miss Bryce and Keon. So of course the whole book, they also playing cat and mouse, doing this little "I want to be with you but not really" thing. Um, so with Bryce, the girl that is threatening to sue them for her rape charge, she goes to talk to her and is like, maybe we can talk this out and figure out what's going on. So the night that she went to talk to her and after she left, the girl winds up dead. So Bryce is placed under arrest for her murder. And it's crazy because she's like, I just want to talk to the girl. I didn't do anything. And they had also went to talk to that rapper who raped her, and was like, you need to pay her money. And he agreed to pay her. No, they talked to him first, and then she went to talk to the girl. The girl ends up dead, and then later on, because it's like, okay, either you did it or he did it, and he winds up the rapper also winds up dead. So it's just like that leaves nobody but her, because it's like, okay, the girl was threatening to sue y'all. She ends up dead. The other person who is tied to the situation also ends up dead. So that leaves nobody but you. And the guy she was messing around with, Jake, I never got, like, he was just there to be there. But she called herself really liking him or wanting to like him because it was cool. But Keon, like, he found out some good news. And the first person he immediately goes to is Bryce, and they have sex. But then he leaves and was like, nah, I'm supposed to be making this work with Heavenly, which is another thing. That's my main thing that I want to get to. The way he did Heavenly was some bullshit if I ever heard it. Now, of course, Heavenly was the side chick who ended up pregnant. It's just like they were having sex, the condom broke, she got pregnant, she kept the baby, whatever. Now, when he got out of jail after finding out that Bryce cheated, where's the first person he ran to? Was Heavenly. That's where he changed his where he was on probation to, like his house that he was living in. So then he get there, they're having sex with each other again. Now, the reason why I'm putting blame on Keon is because you know how that girl feel about you. And they even have the conversation. He's like, where is this coming from? We were never like that. Like, we just had sex. And she was like, don't do that. we used to chill and hang out, like have conversations. And then when I found out I was pregnant, you were doing things for me. You were really nice to me. And, even though you didn't return my feelings, it made my feelings for you stronger. So don't make it seem like it was not what it was. So it's just like, I can appreciate her acknowledging, like, yes, my feelings for you are stronger, but it's because of this and because of that. But don't just make it seem like you pulled up, had sex, and as soon as you were done, you were out the door. It was not that way. And then it's like, now we're co-parenting with our son. I see how you are with our son. It's just like, you're nice when you want to be. So it's just like, I'm not delusional in my thoughts. And he has also made it known, like, I never felt that way about you. I don't feel that way about you. But what I did not like, it's like every time they had an argument, it's in front of the baby. So your son is watching you, even though he's small. Your son is watching you talk to your mother his mother like this, excuse me. And you continue to do it. And then she's all type of stupid, dumb bitches, but you're still having sex with her. And I was like, I don't know, because I've never been one to go for the side chick. It's just like, what your role's supposed to be. You got to play that and let that be that. Because in almost every situation, the guy is never saying, or what should I say? Because it's not never, because they do be lying, like, oh, I'm going to leave her for you. Just hold it down. Just hold it down. But when Shvonne is writing a story, it's very much, I'm never leaving my girl for you. So you might want to just go ahead, tuck them feelings in and let it be what it is. But he always said that. So you shouldn't be confused about this. But then it's like, okay, now you living in her house. Like, nigga, you on probation. You ain't doing that damn well. You on probation. I let you live here. I've been cooking for you, still trying to be nice to you, still want to be in a relationship with you. And it was at that point where she's like, just give us a try. And so he's like, cool, but he don't give them a try. Like, he's always in his feelings about Bryce. And not Heavenly, I will get on YouTube, because Keon, he did have a point. She was always acting innocent, like, your crazy girlfriend who got a problem with me. And he's like, why wouldn't she have a problem with you? You were you hate her, but she really don't care too much about you or mention you or anything like that. But it's like, it's the fact that you were sleeping with her man, you got pregnant by her man, and now you have this imaginary beef with her over her man. So always letting Heavenly know, like, I was her man. But it's just the way he talked to her. It was crazy. I was like, you can get your point across a different way. Because he also told her to her face twice that he regrets their baby. I don't care how he puts it, because that shit, I don't regret my child. I just regret having them with such and such. Because if that's the case, then the child that you know to love right then and now would not be that same child. It would be a completely different child. So you are saying that you wish you did not have this child. I really wish people would understand that. Like, I love my baby, I just hate who their other parent is. So then you don't love this baby, because this baby is a part of that person. Like, I get what people are trying to say, but y'all need to understand that words mean things. So when you say them, that is exactly what you mean. So, yeah, so he basically, which, I mean, of course, not of course, but it's like, she's the side chick, so yeah, he's gonna regret that, but nigga, that's your own fault. Like, what you want to do? So while he's also, quote unquote, supposed to be trying with Heavenly, him and Bryce, I believe they had sex twice, because that second time he was still on the visitor list to her apartment. So he signed himself in, and he still had a key to unlock her door. So, she meets him there with a gun in his back. And he's like, man, get that gun off me. She's like, nigga, you breaking into my apartment at like, what, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning? What the fuck you want? So they have sex, and then he's leave. She's like, you're leaving? He's like, yeah, man, I shouldn't even be over here. I shouldn't be doing this. I got my home situation. And she's like, if you leave out that door, do not, like, we're not gonna keep doing this. You're not just gonna keep popping up on me for sex and then think you just about to leave. But he leaves anyway. And then after him and Heavenly have this conversation of, it's just not gonna work out, you not who I want to be with, I want to be with her, he goes to Bryce and tries to have that conversation, and she's like, no, I tried to tell you, like, if you leave, this is what's gonna happen. You left anyway, so now stand on your decision, because I'm not playing this game with you. So the way the book ends is them not on solid terms, but him still deciding that he wants his girl back, even though that's not gonna happen, because Heavenly pops up on Bryce to let her know. Well, she shows up to the club. This is the second time she showed up to the club, and Keon asked her, because the first time it was her friend's bridal party, like they were having a party at the club, and when Bryce sees her, she's like, "Girl, what the fuck are you doing here?" And she's like, "Girl, it's a strip club. Like, why wouldn't I show up here?" It's like, you know exactly why you should not show up there. And Keon told her, you know she owns that club. You know she's going to be there, like, at any point. Why would you show up there? Like, why would you go any place where she, like, excuse me, knowingly where she is? That's just weird. And I agreed. I'm just like, you know that's her club. You claim that y'all got beef with each other. So anytime y'all see each other, it's not going to be good. But the second time she shows up, she's trying to talk hot shit, like, stay away from my man. And Bryce is like, girl, get the fuck out. Didn't I throw you out one time before? And she said something, and Bryce is about to knock her the fuck out. And she's like, wait, I'm pregnant. Don't hit me. And Bryce is like, what? And so she pulls out her phone and shows her this positive pregnancy test and was like, I'm pregnant again. So that was really the last chance that Keon had with Bryce at all. So I'm like, wow, y'all just, everybody ain't shit. But I forgot to mention with August and Troy, August was still messing around with the girlfriend that he had got in the first book after Troy was playing her game. He was doing a back and forth situation with her. And at one point they had a conversation, and what was her name? Alani. Alani was like, why do you even want to be with her? All them sisters do is lie and cheat. And he got pissed off at one point because it wasn't to the point where he believed that Troy had did anything. He was still like trying to stick beside her, like, yeah, she acting a little crazy, but that's my boo and I'ma hold it down. But he had to sit and think. It's like, even though their relationship was kind of trash, Lyle cheated on Rashawn and got with Glockman. Troy been cheating on, no, not Troy. Bryce cheated on Keon while he was in jail, and it's like, and my girl moving funny. So either Alani is a hating ass bitch or she's right. And like later on we find out she's right. So it's just like, damn, almost all of the sisters do not have any redeeming qualities at all. But we're gonna talk about that in the next episode. So that is the end of book 2. Well, the book actually ends with Glockman pulling up to Kelby's house with Troy. That's the official end of the book. But the end of this episode is ending with Bryce and Keon still not knowing what the fuck they doing. Don't nobody know what they doing. Peace and blessings, my beautiful people, and I'll see you back tomorrow for part 3.